Hey there, everybody. Welcome back with the Plapper. Platypus is the name, and welcome to another Persona 5 The Phantom X video. Today, we're talking Buoy here. Buoy is her code name, B-U-I, but I'm calling her Buoy, or Yui, whatever. And why she might be better than I initially thought when I reviewed her, because I've actually used her now. Now, I want to get out of the way. Yes, we all like Sword Art Online, all right? And we all want our Sword Art Online girlfriend. Even though I do think she's powerful, and we're going to get into that, I do want to highlight that she is very narrow. This is a unit that you are specifically going to want if you really, really want single target electric DPS. If you really need electric damage and you want single target damage, she is very good, potentially the best single target damage in the game, but this is the thing. She might not even be the best single target pure damage output character in the game. It's at least up for debate, depending on how many copies you have in her weapon and stuff. But there's no doubt when it comes to electric, she is a god of breaking electrical shields because all of her follow-up attacks do it. So without further ado, let's actually jump into it. How do you build her? What is she gonna do? What characters should you run with her? All the nuances, and then we'll finally show her in a fight that's designed to make her look good. That way we can kind of see, you know, what she's made of. So first, let's just go over her kit here. Her whole gimmick is resonance. Now, resonance is a bad word choice, but this means follow-up attacks. Whenever you get like a follow-up, that is called a resonance. I don't know why, all right? But anytime you see anything that says resonance, it means a follow-up action of some kind. So when an ally deals damage with a skill, there is a 35% chance to do a follow-up attack, dealing electric damage up to 80% of attack as a follow-up attack. After a follow-up attack, you increase the target's next electric damage taken by 15% for 2 turns, I would assume. So basically what happens is she sits here and she doesn't do that much attacking on her own. She basically will do a buff on another ally, and then her goal is every time an ally attacks, she will follow up an attack with them. So even though she doesn't always spend her turn attacking, she could get 3-4 attacks per turn that are all very powerful. So she basically is doing that. Let's actually take a look here. Electric Bomb is her skill 1. This is the skill you will use the second most, well, I guess the third most if you count her highlight. Good electric damage to a single foe. If they're not shocked, you've got a reasonable chance to shock them, but ideally they are shocked and you do 30% more damage. This is actually a pretty big hit. 152% at level 5 with the 30% more damage up. This is good. You're critting on this, you're doing good damage. It's a solid skill, not flashy, not special, it's fine. Meta Dynamite, I actually think you could realistically leave the skill at 1 for your entire career with her. The reason I would say take it up to level 3 is because the resources before are so cheap, it doesn't even matter. But this is basically only to break AoE shields. You would never use this in any other situation for damage. So I guess you could raise it, but it's like, I really do think this skill is a low priority to level up. The 4th skill you should level up for sure. Not very strong, and it's just to break shields. So now we get to basically the whole reason she exists. Sparky Surprise. It has a 1-turn cooldown. You can use it on the first turn of combat, so it's not like a preemptive cooldown. You grant a buff called Player 2 to an ally for 2 turns. It increases her attack by 33.6% as well. It will also increase your target and her own attack by an additional 12% and both characters' crit rate by 12%. That is pretty darn good. 12% crit rate is no joke as long as they have that. Then, whenever player 2 deals damage to a foe with a skill, you will perform a follow-up attack. You will perform your Jolly Cooperation. However, instead of it being the normal 80% damage, it is 114%. And this will happen up to 2 times, and then also increases the chance for this passively to trigger from 35 to 45%. So this is a pretty good skill. It doesn't do as much damage as you would think, but it does do a lot. So it gives her a pretty good attack buff, and it gives her a double dipping attack buff and crit rate bonus because that's good. But this doesn't do really 114% damage twice, because normally you do the 80 anyway. This is just like an extra whatever it is, right? It's 20-35% damage roughly, and it'll get better, but it's not like this is an unbelievable damage increase. The main reason you use this is so you have guaranteed triggers of your Jolly Cooperation. That is the main reason you use this. You just want to guarantee you're getting the triggers, and of course the attack buffs are good. But really her best skill here is her highlight. Now this skill was buffed from the original version of the game, and they're actually in China, I believe they're about to get the buff. Her highlight increased her attack by 28%, so it's actually less than Sparky Surprise, but it also increases her follow-up damage by whatever, 20%. The numbers aren't necessarily that specific, right? You could take a look here as they get higher. So I just go off the numbers I have. But the point is, it's an attack buff and it's a damage buff for her follow-up attacks. Then activate follow-up attacks after allies deal damage with skills for 2 turns. This used to be 1 turn. So now for the next 2 turns, anytime any ally does a follow-up or does any attack with a skill, she will do a follow-up attack with it. So this is going to give her literally 3-4 actions every single turn. And it is going to be, yes, a couple of them will be for this, but the most of them will be for her 80% resonance, which is just very good. It's just, you're doing it again and again and again and again. It is, she's attacking constantly all the time. It is a very cool feeling whenever you do something and she jumps in and blasts them with like a video game, whatever. Then she has a couple passives here. Increase follow-up damage to shock foes by 36%. You do care about keeping foes shocked, so it is good to run a character that could shock foes. Obviously, Closer is very synergistic with this character, kind of makes her a lot stronger. Let's Go Together, we already briefly talked about, but when an ally has player 2, you increase that ally and her own critical rate and attack by 12%. So even if you didn't want to use Sparky Surprise for some reason, because you just wanted to keep doing hits, because you have your highlight up and you don't need the guarantee, it's still worth using the Sparky Surprise because you are also giving this buff to you and the target. A 12% crit rate is nothing to joke about. You do a lot more damage with crits, so it is definitely something you want to consider. That is her kit. If you get up, like, I don't really care about awareness copies. She's going to get a lot better as you get awareness copies, but this is not the type of character I think you need to chase dupes on. She does one job very well, and she does it well enough at A0 where I don't think you really need to think about it too much. So, skill priority level up. I actually think Sparky Surprise is number 1. Then I would say her highlight is number 2, because if she's on your team, she is a highlight hog. She wants to use her highlight pretty much all the time. And then Electric Bomb is number 3, and I would probably skip Meta Dynamite until I would build other characters over putting too many resources in this myself, but you do whatever it is you want to do. All right, as for her weapons, her 2-star weapon, absolute crap. No point in ever using it. The 3-star weapon is also pretty damn crap. I would not consider even using it unless you absolutely had to. Now, the only reason I'm even mentioning this is because on some characters, like the 2-star weapon for Marion is actually pretty good, increasing her max HP. But, you know, they're not very good. So if we're looking at her 4-star weapon versus her 5-star weapon, the 5-star weapon is objectively quite a bit better. However, I don't think it matters that much. I think you're very happy with her 4-star weapon here. So increases her critical rate by 7.3%, but keep in mind, eventually you could probably get this maxed out. So eventually this is gonna go up to, I don't know the exact percent because I don't have a bunch of copies of it. But when performing follow-up attacks, increase electric damage by almost 10% for 1 turn, stacks up to 2 times. So as she does her first attack, she'll do, you know, she'll get a bonus. Then her second attack, she'll get the extra bonus damage and another bonus. And on her third attack, she'll be doing a bunch of extra damage. And so if you manage to get her even more attacks than that, then it could be absolutely insane. But it only stacks up to those 2 times. So it's a good weapon. It's not crazy, but I mean, it's very solid. If you look at her 5-star weapon here, which we got to go into contracts to look at, you wouldn't want to be able to trade for that. Right away at level A0, right? 18% crit rate. That's huge. It's over double. Increase follow-up damage by 26%. That's huge. It's already like being at the max of 2 stacks permanently. And then when a follow-up attack is activated by the player 2, which is your buff, or by an ally dealing electric damage with a skill, you get another 26% damage. I mean, this weapon is really good. I won't lie. It is so much better than her 4-star, but I still do not think this is a priority. She does a lot of damage, and I feel like this, even though this makes her kit come together way better, I think a weapon needs to go on a character that is so good in lots of content or as a support character than just like a decent damage buff to a super narrow character. So I don't personally recommend getting this weapon, even though it is very good, unless this is gonna be a character you use all the time. If you're gonna use this very narrow character all the time, then you will probably want to get this weapon, but if you're just a normal, you know, spender, this is probably not one you are going to be super interested in. At least I am not myself, and I did get Marion's weapon. So revelations here are not, they're not super self-explanatory, but they're not complex. You are definitely going to want to go with the renewal and growth renewal set. So you could even look at the recommended set. It's exactly what they say here, right? So the renewal set gives you electrical damage. The 4 set is after allies use electrical skills, you increase your own electrical damage by 9% up to 3 times. But really what makes it so good is once you get the growth, increase critical damage of resonance by 50%. Again, resonance is your follow-up attack. So this is basically, it just reads, hey, I deal 50% more crit damage on all of my time, like all the time. It's actually busted. So that is definitely the set you want to use. As far as the actual points themselves, I have speed on her. I think speed is a low priority. I think a lot of people have inferred that speed is good, that you want her to go before your allies, because then she could set up her thing and start going. And that is true for tempo, but you could start doing all your damage on turn 2 as well. You don't need to do it. Like if you are going for the highest guild boss battle and you have a finite amount of turns, you probably do want her to go first or nearly first. If you are not doing that, you're just using her in a normal content, there's really not a difference between her going last. And so if that much of a difference between her going first and buffing the person going second with player 2, so you could start getting the buffs, or, you know, using her highlight and then getting those attacks, versus her going last and then just buffing the person going first in the next turn, you know, is really not that big of a difference. So I think speed is low. Really what you want is crit rate, you want attack percent, and then you want crit damage. So these are all the things. I mean, you could take a look here. They do have a little micro glass here you can click. But you really, what you want, this has total multiplier, but basically you want a high attack, you want a high crit multiplier, you want a high crit rate, and then of course this is more damage, right? This is just 4 different ways of saying damage. That's all she cares about. She doesn't care about anything else, literally at all. This is her one job, is to absolutely blow stuff up with this set. So it is pretty self-explanatory. I just wanted to point out that I don't think speed is as important. Also, a little bit of a nuance here with her her highlight. Her highlight is more time sensitive than any other highlight that I think I've seen, because this is where so much of her damage comes from. You never use this highlight on her turn, and you never want to use it before her turn, ideally. So if you use it, it lasts for 2 turns, right? But if you use this highlight on her turn and then you attack or something, that 2 turns goes down to 1 turn, and it's like you did nothing, right? It's like you lost the whole turn cycle. Ideally, you want to use this highlight directly after her turn. Then that character is going after her, you use your highlight, and then you have 1, 2, 3 actions. She comes up again, and now that 2 turns goes down to 1 turn. So you get another 1, 2, 3 actions of follow-up. So the turn after she goes is the best time to use her highlight, and every turn after that, you are actually using a potential proc, losing a potential proc of her highlight here. So keep that in mind. Also worth noting, critical rate is incredibly important on her, especially with the set increasing crit damage of resonance. She does get crit rate as she levels up, but it's still going to be hard to get as much crit rate as you want. But just keep in mind that, like, she is going to naturally get some crit rate as you level her up as well. So we've talked about the weapons, the revelations, the personas, the kit, the level up priority. Let's talk about the units that she has heavy synergies with, and who you want to run with her, and basically then we'll show a couple fights of her. So the very first one and most obvious, let's just get it out of the way, is Closer. Half a Closer's kit is making electrical teams stronger, right? Especially if you get her, higher awakened. But basically, she could shock people for her. She increases the duration of the shock. She makes enemies take additional electrical damage that could stack up to 2 times. The Blitz Mine increases the electrical damage of your team. And then as you get more up here, right, shock foes can deal more damage. You deal more damage to shock foes. She basically just, everything she reads like she may not be that strong, but she makes Yui a lot stronger. So Closer is the #1 synergy you want to be going with. Outside of that, a character that I think may not be as obvious a synergy, but I think is equally as strong in a lot of ways, is Morgana. Morgana is going to work very, very well with Yui for the main reason that Morgana is the healer that doesn't need to stop attacking to heal. That means because Morgana gets these chivalry stacks and then will heal when it's not Morgana's turn, basically as a follow-up, Morgana can gain chivalry stacks by attacking, and then by attacking, you're also triggering Yui's follow-up attacks, right? So if you have a normal healer like Marion, you might take a turn off to just heal everybody, which is totally fine. And then you might attack, you might not attack, you might heal every turn. Morgana can attack, while also, you know, healing, while also triggering Yui. So a very synergistic healer if you need a support. Of course, you could also use Wonder as the support, but that's, I think, honestly, Morgana is like the go-to healer for Yui. It just is too synergistic. So probably the most important persona you want to be running when you're using Yui is going to be actually your Ling, this weird little bug guy. So he is really powerful because just by being around, he increases his own critical damage, but more importantly, foes' critical damage is going to be increased, and the shocked foes are going to get more. So this will allow you to, one, if they're immune to electric, you could, you know, occasionally bring that in and use it. But also, you're just there to shock foes, you're boosting foes, you're keeping them shocked, and by just being around, you're attacking and you're buffing your ally without having to use any actions. So this is probably going to be your most used persona when you're using Yui. I mean, there are obvious other ones, like when you get higher up, like when you get to characters like Thor and stuff, like there's other things you could do, right? As you do a lot of crit damage, and when you use electric skills, resonance, or highlights, you gain a Thunder Lord's Majesty, and after dealing electric damage, you get enemies take more electric damage. Like, yes, there's more as you get later, but most people aren't quite at that stage of the game yet. So this rank 5 persona is the one I would be looking for as the main synergy piece here. And just to highlight a few characters that are not as synergistic, ones that I would consider not using, I think one here is like Leon. Leon doesn't spend much time attacking, right? Leon spends a lot of time using buffs, so that's not ideal. As well as like Haruna. Haruna will attack and then take a turn off to buff. You kind of want, like, you don't want characters that are doing things that means they're not attacking to do their thing. So like a good example for a positive character would be Yao Ling. Yao Ling could debuff the enemies, although she's more of an AoE thing. But the point is she can get that damage increase, she can get that defense shred on the enemies without skipping attacks, right? Which is a more synergistic thing. So those are the kind of units you want to run, the kind of units you don't want to run. And let's go ahead and jump into a fight. All right, so here's a little bit of an example team here. I am using my buddy Slick Ricks. I'm using his because he has the weapon and she's a little bit more built than mine. And I would not normally use Puppet. However, my other one is locked right now. So just know that I would probably use the other Phantom Thief Navigator. I can't remember her name. But yeah, my Morgana is not super well built, but this should be fine. We'll find out, all right? Who knows, maybe I get a new record here. So we got auto off. I'll go on ×2 speed here. So first thing we notice, we didn't die. That's awesome. Second thing we notice is, yeah, I don't know, maybe we're gonna be fine here. So we are gonna go ahead. First thing you pretty much always wanna do is the Sparky Surprise. You could use it on anyone you know is going to be attacking. It will increase their crit rate. It will increase their their attack damage. So I'm gonna do it on my boy here, my boy Wonder, because he does have the snake. You can see here, I tend to start with Janosik first, just so he gets the mark when combat starts. But I will end up switching here to my other boy because we're more likely to crit and do more damage. You know, this, don't get me wrong, the damage isn't going to be crazy, right? But you can see we attacked, she immediately did a follow-up. That one was guaranteed. But now here, you can take a look. We have a, basically every turn. Well, hopefully we don't miss this one. I don't want to, but it's all right. Sometimes you miss. As long as you use a different skill than you did last turn, you're going to get some more back. So Blitzmine is kind of your best friend if they're not shocked. If they're shocked. If they're not shocked, you can go take a look. And it doesn't look like they got shocked by our other attack there, so we are going to Wrathful Thunder instead as an attempt to shock them. Because it's pretty much guaranteed when she does it, I think. And now we got more characters in here, but it's all cool, man. And actually, this is a character that's weak to wind, so as long as we're doing exactly what we want to be doing. When we kill them, we get a bunch of electrical damage, so it doesn't really matter exactly what we have her do, but I'm gonna have her target over there. Her weapon does look cool, I won't lie, I do like it. So we will go ahead and target this first. Bada bing, bada boom. Morgana's favor, thank you. You see, we get to attack, and while attacking, we still get to do our thing here. We will use the AoE attack here, because that way we get a little bit of damage in. Boing. And he's shocked too, that's good. And you're going to come in, are you going to finish them off? You did finish them off just like that. Actually, not quite, not quite. So you can see here we have her highlight up, but I don't want to use it yet because she's gonna lose a couple actions. So I actually want to wait myself until her action comes back up again, or we could just use closer right now, but I don't really want to use closer right now. So we're gonna hit this. We should get, we get 1 or 2 chivalry stacks. It looks like we get 1, and then we'll just follow up with her because she does the most, and our damage is permanently increased, right? So once we get her highlight up, that's when you're going to see the damage really start popping off. So this guy is shocked for a couple more turns, I believe. Let's take a look. If the shock didn't actually work, man, that's actually really crazy. So we are going to then go this. This should shock the first target, guaranteed, right? Inflict shock on the main target, but it doesn't always happen. It did happen that time, though, so we're good. You can see it up here somewhere, I'm sure. But good, another 10,000. We're kicking butt. I believe he summons 3 of these guys. So, I mean, yeah, we're killing it. We might even be able to go up the challenge mode. Oh, never mind. Oh, hold on. X-nay, cancel. Okay, so we're going to redo the Sparky surprise here. And now we are going to use her highlight. Her highlight means it'll always trigger after every single action. This is where you don't want to spend turns doing anything besides attacking. Now, I won't lie, we do have a character that is very low on life there, but we're gonna do God's work here. We're gonna attempt to just power through it because, yeah, Morgana is here. Morgana is great. Morgana puts snacks on my plate. In fact, we'll go ahead and we'll do this as well. Bada bing, bada boom. Little Mermaid. And Puppet actually, I think, might have saved her because Puppet gave her a nice big shield. But yeah, she's totally fine here. So I'm gonna win here, which is actually great for this fight. You're not guaranteed to get the chivalry stack though, unfortunately, just with the way Morgana works right now, because I kind of have a low crit rate on him. But yeah, let's go ahead and keep hitting here. More electrical damage. Her one-ups are honestly not that good, just in general. But if we take a look here, we can see that she is getting electrical damage. This is permanent. Electrical, I mean, look at all this. I mean, there's 100,000 things. And now we're going to get the Blitz Mine up as well. This will greatly increase her damage. Bada bing, bada boom. And now she's just going to go crazy town. Double attack. It is a little scary. My Morgana doesn't have a heal ready. This is an action where I might take a turn off. We'll electric bomb here. It should do 30% bonus damage. Again, that is a good hit. I don't want to ever make it sound like that hit's like not good. We could probably do some sort of debuffing thing on this character as well, but I'm honestly just happy to showcase her more than anything, trying to make her damage numbers as big as possible. This is actually an attack. It does, no, that one's only a heal. Electrical damage and increased damage taken. And increased electrical damage taken. It also re-inflicts shock. We'll do this one. I think it's actually less damage, but re-inflicting shock means we get to use our more powerful skills and not really worry about it as much. And now I really want you to not, I really don't want anyone to die here. So we are going to lose 1 turn of action here just because I didn't have the chivalry stacks, but now we have 2 chivalry stacks. So that should help us out. And honestly, like, it's kind of funny to use this team because my closer is only like half built. My Morgana is not built, but I was using her with, like, you know, suboptimal teams, and she was still kicking absolute ass. So there we go. Watch her come back in. Jolly cooperation. 17,000 damage to Roonies. And this should be the last attack we have to survive. So yeah, now we're gonna, we are still gonna do the Sparky surprise, because it guarantees a follow-up attack. Otherwise, it can be very hard to actually guarantee it, you know? Even though I think he does get 1 more attack left, actually. So we're going to go ahead and keep shocking. Again, it's not even about his damage, right? He did 5,000, that's fine. But now we want you to, like, actually hit him really hard. And same with you. You're going to go ahead and do your whirlwind. Hopefully drop their defense a little bit. We got all of our stacks here. So as long as we don't get, like, straight up slapped, we should be fine. I would have liked to get this back up first. That's on me. That's on me. We are going to... We probably don't need to do that this turn. We could probably do our slightly more powerful attack. It's not that much more powerful, I'll admit. We did not get the follow-up that time. That's totally understandable. And we are alive. We're alive. All right, that was their last attack. Let's go ahead and increase the damage you're getting dealt here. They're not going to attack again, so we are solid to just try to get as much damage in as we can. Thank you for the heal. I appreciate that. And now, you know what? Let's do our support. Again, we would have done more damage if we would have had the other character, because we would have had like a multiplier and probably could have applied shock or, you know, I mean, even just burning and stuff, right? All the elemental ailments she could do is way more powerful. Bada bing. I am kind of curious to see how high we're going to get on our ranking here, if it's a new score or not. But yeah, you know, we attack, she follows up because that's player number 2. And she always has a, right now she has a 45% chance to follow up on anyone's attack as well. So we'll go for it. Hopefully we get an additional proc here. Hopefully we get an additional proc here. Maybe. Maybe. We did get that proc there as well. So you see, she probably attacked 4 times more than everyone else that whole fight. Was that a new record or no? It was a new record. We got 3 million points, and that is going to put us at the, let's take a look. If we go back, we are at the 2%, so not insane, but I mean, it could be insane. I've been better though. But yeah, that is basically how she works. That is a fight designed to make her look good. She specializes in that kind of stuff. And yeah, so I think she is better than people are giving her credit for. But at the same time, I think she is narrow. I think you have to, if you want to do just generic elementalist single target damage, she might not even be the best in the game. However, if you need electrical damage, she is going to be easily the best. So it's always nice to have a character in your pocket, but if you're free to play, I mean, with Queen coming out, with, I mean, in my opinion, even Fox coming out, I don't know if I could recommend her at this point, but really, I do think she is quite powerful. I don't want people to overlook how powerful she is. So should you pull her? That's up to you, my man. Anyway, much love for platypuses per platypus. I will see you in the flip-flops. Bye!